What's up? What's up? Welcome everybody to another Apple Home Talk live stream. So good to see everybody. Hope you're doing well this week. Having a great day so far. This is the live stream all about building a smart home, and we focus primarily on the Apple Home ecosystem, but we dabble a little bit everywhere here on this stream. Let me know in the chat where you're from, where you're watching from, how you're doing, how's the weather, all that good stuff if you haven't already. Let's say hi to some folks and then we'll get rolling. We have a few things to discuss, a few things in the news and some new smart home related news, I guess, if you will. And we'll definitely answer some questions today. We'll do a Q&A. Tom, what's up, Tom? From Texas. Ben is here. Ben, what's up, Ben? Lone Star Trent, Juan. Oh, nice haircut. I did just get a haircut. Thanks, Juan. Yeah, just got one this morning. I was long overdue, actually. Thump Jimmy, what's up, Thump Jimmy? And Brian Essler is back. Glad you could be here, Brian. Hope you're doing well. I know you've been staying busy, my friend. Hair Riot, what's up, Hair Riot? Frederick is here. Good weather out there. Rhett, what's up, Rhett? Jack's Diner. George Langerbeer in the house. Not so smart home. I love that. I love that handle there. Not so smart home. Says hello everyone. What a glorious day. Blessings to everyone. Yes, glorious day. Blessings to everyone. I love it. Love the handle. Love the comment. Awesome, man. Thank you for joining us here and the kind words. Yeah, it's been a good day. It's been a good day so far. I went to the gym this morning for the first time this week. I've been so busy. I haven't been able to do it. So that's always good. I feel like when I can do that, get that done, I just have a better day. All was well until I had to call. We had to get the HVAC, the heating and air folks to come out to the house because we've been having more water than we should have in our attic area. And long story short, had to spend some money today, so that's got me a little depressed. Money you don't plan on spending when you wake up is never fun. So, there's that. But to that point, it is an Aqara water sensor that notified me that there was a problem in the first place. So I will say it here. I've said it many times before. If you're not using water sensors of some sort, smart water sensors, what are you waiting for? They're very affordable and they will save the day. Despite having to spend some money today to get some things repaired, not even close to what it would have been if this would have went unchecked and water damage happened in the house, which is something we have had in the past. That's actually why I have a water sensor in that spot. And so where the unit is in the attic, there is a water sensor attached, and if the little tray fills up, it'll trigger that water sensor. The problem is that water sensor that's kind of built into the unit won't get triggered unless there's a lot of water. So a little float sensor kind of thing, I guess, that's in there. Anyways, my water sensor notified, my Aqara water sensor notified me way before I would have known otherwise, I guess you could say. So, got up there, inspected it, checked it out, saw there were some issues. We were able to address it. So, anytime you can avoid water damage, I guess is a good day. So, silver lining there, I guess I'll look at that. But yeah, water sensors for the win. There's just been more stories than I can count for the times those things have saved the day. I've heard so many stories. So Michael Lewis, what's up, Michael? Frederick says, smash that like button. Thank you, Frederick. Yeah, hit that like button for me. I appreciate it. We got Canada in the house. What's up? Gregorius M. Can't wait for Apple cameras and HomeKit devices. Always love your videos. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate that. Yeah, Apple cameras will be nice. I think it's going to be quite a while before we see that, but hopefully some new HomeKit devices before too long. Robert, what's up, Robert? Lane's in the house. Let's see here. Trent says you have the Aqara sensor, just the sensor or wire on? Nope, just the sensor. So there's a little it's like a drip tray basically in there, and I kind of have an extended drip tray where it catches water condensation and things like that, and I have it just placed in a good spot where it'll notify me if there's more water than should be, but still way before I would have gotten notified otherwise. Ben, what's up, Ben? Oh, nice. Carl, order the dual knit band for my Apple Vision Pro. Yeah, I might have to do that. So let's talk about that. If you missed it, there were some announcements from Apple today. Unfortunately, no smart home news, no HomePods, no Apple TVs. Unfortunately, that's what we were hoping for. Maybe it'll still come sometime soon, but we did get announcements for a new MacBook Pro, iPad Pro, and a updated Vision Pro. So these all have been updated with the M5 chip. It says this will allow them to run faster than their predecessors. We have here the starting prices for each of these devices, in case you guys were interested. And yeah, they are available to pre-order now. Will go on sale later this month here. Yeah, so nothing too huge. No, like I said, no Apple TVs, no HomePods, no HomePod minis. Hopefully we'll see that soon. But that I will say, I do have the Vision Pro. I have the original one. I will say this is the new dual strap. So I guess you can order just the strap maybe. So if that's the case, I might have to do that because it's kind of like a combo of the two that it came with originally. It looks like with the overhead strap. This thing is really nice. I love the way you can adjust it and everything right there. I've always loved that strap, but it's just not that comfortable after a while. So I think having that overhead strap right there combined with that looks pretty nice. So I think I might have to order one of those myself. Palmakit says the week is not over for Apple TV announcements. Yes, I'm optimistic. I love your optimism, and you are correct. Very well, could see some more announcements. Would not be the first time that's happened, so we will keep looking and waiting and remaining optimistic. Raul says our fridge filter spun a leak and the Aqara sensor saved us from what could have potentially been water intrusion disaster. Yeah, man. I put those things everywhere. Refrigerators, washing machines. I've got one under my dishwasher. Actually, I have an Eve water sensor under my dishwasher and sink area in the kitchen. Oh, hot water heater. Let's see, where else? Again, the AC units in the attic. Where else? Toilets, sinks, bathroom sinks, all over, man. It's worth it. It's worth it. What's up, Alex? I see your question there we got Alex from Sweden. We're going to get to questions here in just a second. A couple of things I wanted to go over, and then we'll do a Q&A for sure. Some more questions. I see some smart locks questions. Let me see. I'm going to flag all these questions. We'll come back to them. Oh, nice. Turin got a mini split for the garage yesterday. Supposedly it goes into HomeKit, so that'll be nice. My father-in-law and I will install it at the end of the month. Oh, cool. So you got one that natively supports HomeKit, huh? That's nice. Awesome. Yeah, I got a mini split in my garage recently, as you probably know. And yeah, it's awesome. My garage is already starting to fill back up with stuff. I keep having big old boxes delivered, thanks to the women in my house, or my daughter and my wife. We got a large Christmas tree delivered. A trampoline that I've got to put together, and a giant nutcracker, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, I don't have anywhere to put all this stuff. I just cleaned out that garage, but it is what it is. We'll do it. We'll do it with a smile on my face. Nice, Frederick. Yeah, I have the Aqara water leak sensors and the Eve water detectors throughout my house. Yeah, I like the Eve one. They're more expensive and they do require an outlet, which is kind of inconvenient. That's what's great about the Aqara ones. They're cheap and you can just put them anywhere. Batteries last forever. But I do like the Eve one also because it has that long sensing cable. I actually have mine routed, so I have an outlet under my sink in the kitchen, and I have the sensor routed under the sink, and then I kind of like drilled a little hole, and then I routed the same cable all the way underneath to go underneath my dishwasher, which is close by. So I've got that whole area covered with that, just that one sensor. So that's what's cool about those. George actually skipped the updates. Nothing that exciting. Yeah, me too. So like, is anybody going to be pre-ordering any of the new stuff that we have here? I'm on the fence. I've been using a MacBook Pro. I still actually use the M1 MacBook Pro as my primary daily computer because, it just works. It works well. I haven't had any issues with it. So I don't know. The day is probably coming where I'll switch out and get a new MacBook Pro. I've been thinking about it, but, like I said, I just had to spend money today to fix the AC unit, so I'll probably just keep waiting. Oh yeah, Tom. I haven't I have not used any of the Switchbot water sensors in my house. I have used one at a friend's house, but not at my house. So yeah, that's a good one. I always forget about that one. And does that one support Matter? Can you bring that into HomeKit through Matter with the bridge? I'm not 100% sure about that, but I would think it should, which would be nice. Oh, cool. Jeff, have the Aqara Smart Home Panel Hub S1 Plus on its way. I'll be using it here in the US in tablet mode. We'll report how it goes. Nice, Jeff. Yeah, let us know. That's not available in the US, right? Are you shipping it over from like another one of those international websites or whatever? Okay, some other things real quick, and then we'll get to some questions I wanted to share with you. So I think it was just like last week, or maybe, I don't know, maybe like a couple weeks ago, I mentioned how it was nice to see that Ecobee updated the thermostats, the newer thermostats to support the security system in HomeKit. Well, I read just a little update on that. I read that, this is unfortunate, we rolled back Smart Security's integration with Apple HomeKit. You can continue to arm and disarm your system through the Ecobee app. So that's unfortunate. I looked at some posts and stuff from Reddit, and it looks like some people still have access to it. So let us know in the comments if you use the Ecobee thermostats and you're using the security system that was recently integrated into HomeKit, and if it's still working or if that's been snatched away from you. Bummer if it was pulled away, especially if you set up automations and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess they had some issues with it or whatever. I'm not really 100% sure. It says, yeah, due to unexpected challenges, I read is on Reddit, we rolled back Smart Security's integration with Apple HomeKit. So, that's a bummer. Oh, nice. Smart home budget getting gobbled up by the Innovelli switches at the moment. Yeah, those are nice. Good switches it's one of those things that's, kind of worth it in the long run. You kind of you get what you pay for, get some good ones, reliable. It's kind of worth it, I think. What's up, Lurk Jerk? Glad you can make it here. Next up, I wanted to discuss this. Okay, so now shout out to Aaron who shared this initially, I think, in our member Discord server. But a little update potentially with Matter. So Matter 1.5 should be coming hopefully this year. Before the end of this year, we're hoping. And if you look through the GitHub repository, you'll actually find this. Device types. In progress for maybe Matter 1.5, audio doorbell, and cameras. Camera controller, chimes, and then a bunch of other devices here. Snapshot camera. A lot of camera stuff is being mentioned here for maybe Matter 1.5. That's pretty exciting. I just wanted to share that because I've said before that I think cameras, they will come to Matter eventually, but I assumed it would not be at least until 2026. But it looks like they're working on it, and it could be sooner rather than later. So I'm very excited about that. What do you guys think? Tom says it's about time. Lawrence, Discord won't let me into server. We'll have to see what's up with that, Lawrence. I know you've been in there before, so I know you know how to connect. Lutron is solid gold. Ty, what's up, Ty? Says, yeah, Lutron is solid gold. Yeah, can't argue with Lutron. Alert jerk cameras would be great. Yeah, I would love to see. Trent, Lone Star Trent says, it'll be 1.8 before Apple adds it. And that is, that's the nature of Matter and the current smart home landscape is, we'll get an update to Matter, and it could be a year before Apple decides to support the latest update, unfortunately. Jeff says they'll probably enable HomeKit secure video for higher resolution if you use Apple's cameras. That's like when Apple releases cameras. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's what they're waiting on to give us something more than 1080p. I don't know. I don't know what the holdup is there with that. We need more than 1080p. I don't see why that's still not a thing. Yep, soil sensors on Matter 1.5 is something that's also listed in there. Oh, nice. Zeus. What's up, Zeus? Sadai says, I just got my 6th Aqara button. Even had a friend 3D print wall brackets. Yeah, that's cool. I did that too. I 3D printed a little, like a black one. And it's actually like a cover that I found. And I printed that. And it basically makes it look like a black Aqara button, which is pretty cool. Dang, I just realized I left the dogs outside. I hear them barking. Oh well, I'm sure they'll be fine. They'll probably tear up some stuff while they're out there. Yeah, 5 years for Apple cameras. Maybe 2027. I don't know. Maybe not quite 5 years. All right, see a lot of questions coming in. All right, we're going to get into the questions. I think that's really the main stuff I wanted to go ahead and address. Since you guys have so many questions, we'll go ahead and start doing Q&A. If you do have a question, just preface your comment with the word question, and that'll help it kind of stick out to me like Andy and some of the folks here are doing. Make Matter Smart's in the house. What's up, Make Smart Matter? So sorry, dude. Make Smart Matter. By the way, just gotten the Homey. I'm obsessed with it. Why haven't you talked more about it? Dude, I talk about Homey all the time. I do. I talk about Homey quite a bit, I feel like. Yeah, I love it too. Creating automations is just so much more fun with Homey. And I've been creating a lot of automations, a lot of the banter that I don't know if any of you guys have checked out the new podcast with my wife, the Wife Approved podcast, but a lot of the banter there where she's getting so upset with all of my bedroom automations. I'm pretty much doing all that with Homey. So I'm setting up some pretty advanced, some pretty complex, I'll say, some complex automations with Homey. And yeah, I just love creating automations in Homey. It's just so much more fun, the drag and drop and all that kind of stuff. And you can do a lot more than you can do natively with HomeKit. So I'm a fan of Homey as well. Oh, thank you. Frederick says, if you haven't seen the latest podcast episode, go check it out after the live stream. They are fantastic. Thank you, Frederick. I appreciate that. Yeah, wife approved podcast. I think there should be a link in the video description or in the live stream description if you want to check that out. But a little different. We get into marriage and family and just all kinds of stuff there. More behind the scenes look at, my life and with my wife. We do talk a lot about smart home stuff on there because smart home and YouTube and everything, is my life basically. So we've had this kind of automation war going on within my house for the past month or two. So we talk a lot about that, and I've pissed her off a few times lately trying to get these automations right. Brian says we need an updated video on how Homey beats Home Assistant user experience. Yeah, I've talked about it here and there in a couple of videos. Maybe I will do another video on that. I haven't done a video on Homey in a while. I did actually get their Homey Pro Mini recently, so I'll pull that up real quick, just in case anybody doesn't know what we're talking about. Homey Pro is it's a bridge basically. It's another hub. It's a whole smart home ecosystem essentially. You can tie it into HomeKit and Apple Home pretty well, and that's what I'm doing. I'm using this and some other things kind of on the back end of my smart home, but they released the Homey Pro Mini, which is half the price of the original Homey Pro. The original Homey Pro has better processing, and it's better, but it's more expensive, and it also has Z-Wave built in, which can be nice. I did actually just connect a Z-Wave device to it last week. This one doesn't have Z-Wave, but the mini one does support Matter, Zigbee, Thread. You can plug it in over Ethernet, which is what I would do. It's half the price. I think this one is $199. The Homey Pro Original is $399, I want to say. Brian, oh man, thank you so much. Brian just gifted 5 memberships, man. Thank you so much. Where's all my sound effects? Here we go. Thank you, Brian, so much for doing that. So 5 of you just got gifted a membership. It was randomly chosen by YouTube. Once that's done. So as a channel member, you get access to our member Discord server. We also have a monthly video chat on Discord on the first Wednesday of every month. I also do behind the scenes videos sometimes. Actually did a short one earlier this week, and just some other perks like that. So thank you, Brian, and welcome all the new channel members. Corey's asking if it beats Home Assistant. On functionality, talking about Homey, I would say no, it doesn't. But on usability, yes. Just in my opinion, I just prefer the interface and everything is really nice. I actually just started using a dashboard, a Homey Pro dashboard for my wall-mounted iPad. I go back and forth on the interface and the software that I use for my dashboards, and I just started using a Homey Pro dashboard again recently. I've used Home Assistant, I've used a bunch of different apps and stuff like that. But the Homey Pro dashboards are getting pretty good too. But there are still some limitations, particularly with device compatibility, I'd say, with Homey versus Home Assistant. And that is why I do still run Home Assistant as well on the back end. So bit overkill for sure, but yeah. And there's always everybody. Sorry, I hear my dogs banging on the door right now. I'm trying to ignore them, hoping somebody's gonna come home and let them in. Turin says Home Assistant is not that hard at all. I always hear that, and you're right. It's not that hard, but it could be a lot easier. Homey Pro is just so much easier, and you can figure out Home Assistant. Anybody can with enough time and patience or whatever. And it's way easier than it used to be. I've built automations. I've done a lot of things with Home Assistant, but I just prefer using Homey Pro just because the whole process is more enjoyable. Like I said earlier, smart home and YouTube and all this stuff is kind of my life now. So I just don't want to be pulling my hair out just building simple automations and stuff, which is what I find myself doing with Home Assistant. Homey, it's just more enjoyable. I want to enjoy the process. So I have fun building automations in Homey. Home Assistant feels like homework to me. So that's just my personal take, though. I know some people love Home Assistant, and I do still use it for certain things. And I think some people maybe use the different side of your brain or whatever. Maybe you prefer the way they do automations in Home Assistant, but I prefer Homey. So just my 2 cents right there. Yeah, and Homey is more expensive for sure. So, depends. It depends on what's important to you, I guess. Ben asked a question earlier, says, I have, regarding Aqara, normally we only have the outdoor camera G5 Pro hub, but some other devices have difficult to connect because the hub is far away. So if you're talking about the Aqara devices, you're using the Aqara G5 Pro as your primary hub. There's two, and you're having difficulty connecting like Aqara child devices to the hub. There's two routes that I would consider. The first one is just to get another Aqara hub as your primary hub. I'm a big fan of using the M3 hub as my primary Aqara hub. I do use that in my house, and I connect all my Aqara child devices to that. I like that for different reasons, but probably the main one is that you can hardwire it directly to your router, so it doesn't rely on Wi-Fi, and just wired connection is always better. So you could do that, or you can get the M2. There's some other hubs that you could get that you could put inside your house. So that's one route. If you don't want to get another hub, then you could always get an Aqara Zigbee repeater device. And repeater devices are usually those that are like constantly powered. So not your battery powered sensors and stuff like that, but like the smart plug is probably the easiest one. You could get the Aqara smart plug and put it kind of anywhere in your house, maybe between your other child devices and your G5 Pro hub that you're trying to connect. You can put that kind of in the middle to extend that Zigbee range. It's a Zigbee repeater. Some others are the Aqara light switches that, because they're always connected to power. Also, I think the ceiling light is a Zigbee repeater, as well as the light strip, because again, they're always plugged in, and those can act as Zigbee repeaters. So putting some of those in your house could kind of extend and build out your your Zigbee mesh network, and could also help. So two options there that I would probably look at. Jeff says the M3 hub is really great. Unfortunately, my migration from the M2 to M3 didn't go so well, even though I followed Aqara's upgrade migration path. Still fixing issues. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, so they did, and I showed this in my video if anybody's interested in the Aqara M3 hub when that first came out. I did have some downsides to the M3 at that point. They've improved pretty much all the downsides that I mentioned in there. But just as a Zigbee hub for your Aqara devices, it's great. And I did show that migration process. So if you're migrating stuff from another Aqara hub, it went pretty smooth for me when I did it. This was way back when the M3 hub first came out. But anytime you're doing anything like that, migrating devices, you could definitely run into issues. The biggest issue that I had, it's not an issue, it's just the nature of it. Everything migrated well in the Aqara app, but you do have to reconfigure all your devices in HomeKit or in your Apple home ecosystem when you do that. So that's, can be a bit of a process to have to do that. Let's see, next question here we got saved. Chris says, what is your favorite door lock What is your opinion on the Thorbolt X1? Okay, it's hard to pick a favorite. I guess me personally, I'll just say me personally, what I'm using right now on my main door is the Whatley Visage. I'm really not sure how to say that still. I'll pull that one up. It's the one that has facial recognition built into it, and it supports Apple Home. Works really well. It's reliable. It's got a fingerprint sensor, face sensor, all that kind of stuff. Kind of a weird keypad. With that said, I was pretty excited about the facial recognition at first, because it is a neat feature, but I just use the fingerprint sensor all the time, honestly. So, I mean, it's a pretty expensive lock when you see that there, $349. Again, it works really well. I'm happy with it. So I guess I'd call that my favorite right now. That's what I'm using on my main door. But if I wanted to save some money, there's really so many good locks out there. Another nice thing about that one too is the battery. It's got these like rechargeable batteries, and it comes with 2 of them, I believe, so you can swap them out. So you're not always changing batteries on your smart locks, which can be a pain. But with that said, yeah, I just always use the fingerprint sensor because it's just faster for me. You kind of have to stop and let it scan your face otherwise, which slows me down. So I do like that, but you can definitely get really good locks for a fraction of the price with a fingerprint sensor that support HomeKit. Supports Apple Home Key also, the Whatley one does. Chris here asked about the Thorbolt X1. I did do a full video on that if anybody wants to look into that more, but that's Thorbolt's deadbolt lock, and so it's a full lock replacement, and I'm happy with it. I really like it. It supports HomeKit over Thread, so not Matter, but HomeKit over Thread, and I like that it uses Thread. I'm always a fan of smart locks that use Thread to connect to your smart home. Has the fingerprint sensor that works really well, supports Apple Home Key, and it's more affordable than some of these other locks. I was actually at my friend's house just like 2 days ago, and he got the Thorbolt X1 installed, and he was telling me how much he loves it. It's just so easy. He said he comes in with his hands full all the time, little kids and stuff, and he uses his Apple Watch just to unlock the door all the time, and he really likes it. I also still use one of the Thorbolt X1 door locks on my garage door too. So that's a good one. Again, there's so many good ones now. Aqara makes really good smart locks. I still think their U100 is a really good lock, very affordable, and it supports HomeKit, has the fingerprint sensor, home key. There's some really good retrofit locks out there now, so if you need that style, I've done videos on a lot of these. I actually have a smart lock playlist on the channel, so if you're kind of interested in any of these, you can kind of check out that playlist if you want some more details on any of them. But yeah, there's a lot of options out there now that work pretty well. Nice. Corey says, got the Switchbot Lock Ultra and ordering the Vision keypad tonight. Very nice. Yeah, I actually have the Switchbot Lock Pro right now on my little 3D printed smart lock rig. So this is the Lock Ultra. So this is a retrofit lock. Aqara makes a retrofit lock. The Nuki lock is a retrofit lock also. Which means you just replace the inside, which is good a lot of times for renters, or sometimes it's just nice. I mean, you don't have to replace your key. You use the same key, same outside, doesn't look like a smart lock or anything. And these usually have a keypad that you can use with, it gives you the PIN codes or fingerprint sensors, or like Corey mentioned, the Lock Ultra. The Vision keypad has facial recognition also. So, very nice. make smart matter so that I cannot get behind the Switchbot lock. Let me know what you think about it. Why, how come, why not? It works, it's worked well for me. I think probably the main downside, I guess, is this one doesn't have HomeKey on this one, if that's important to you. I've gotten to where I honestly really don't even use HomeKey that much, if ever, because fingerprints are just, that's the way to go, I think. Yes. Lauren says, if are you testing too many smart locks if you have to print a test door? Yes. And yeah, well, 100%. And also, my wife got locked out one time, and I had to make sure that didn't happen again. So now, anytime I get a new lock, but definitely before I put it on the main door, I test it on one of these things first for a while, make sure it's working well and it's reliable. So, oh, more aesthetically pleasing. Yeah, I get that. If you think this is bad, though, you should have seen their which you probably have. The Lock Pro, their older ones were way worse. This is the best looking one that they've made. And I love the little push button. You could just push it. I don't think this one's that bad. I mean, it's pretty reasonable, I guess, for a retrofit lock. The Nuki one definitely looks a little bit better. The Aqara one's pretty similar to this too. The Aqara what is it? U200? Yeah, the U200. Trying to remember all these names. Let's see. All right, I think we got some more. I hope I didn't miss any questions. Let me flag these. I see some more questions here. All right, I'm going to try to get to all these today. Dane says, thoughts on the new Hue bridge that can use 3 lights plus 3 or more lights as a motion or presence sensor. I think it's really cool. I mean, I love that option. What are they? I forget what they're calling that feature now. Motion aware. I think that's what they're calling it. Yeah. It's where you can use basically your smart lights as motion sensors. So I've seen some videos on this. I haven't tested this out, and it seems to work pretty well, just the little bit that I've seen. Again, I don't have any firsthand experience with this, but I mean, it's really cool. Like, especially if you use a lot of smart bulbs, I think it's awesome. As long as it works well. Again, haven't used it myself, but I don't really use smart bulbs in my house very much at all. I've got like 1 or 2, if that. I've got a lot of smart lighting fixtures and stuff, but not smart light bulbs. So I don't really use Philips Hue, but I think the feature is awesome, and I love to see stuff like this. And I think and hope this is just where we'll get in the future, where there's just more reliable presence awareness, I guess, within our smart home, so you can just build automations and stuff like that a lot easier. That makes sense. So I like it. I think it's a good thing. Andy says, which smart button is better, Aqara or the Ari smart button? I think if you have an Aqara hub already, I would probably go with Aqara, just because they connect over Zigbee directly to the Aqara hub, and they work flawlessly, and the battery life is really good on those. The Ari buttons, which is, it's spelled R-A-R-R-E, I think. Yeah, that's right. The Ari button looks really nice. They look better than the Aqara buttons for sure. And they support Matter over Thread. So it just depends on what's important to you. If you need, a Matter button that connects directly to your smart home without the need for a hub, then this would probably be the one to go with. But if you already have an Aqara hub, I'd probably go with the Aqara button just because they work so well. And, you know, I'm a fan of using Zigbee still. I know that might be not everybody's opinion, but Zigbee stuff just works really well. So I've got no problem with it. And yeah, the Aqara buttons are great. They don't look the best. They're not like the most aesthetically pleasing smart button. So if you're mounting it out, I don't know, you might want the Ari one instead for that reason. But especially if you're like hiding them, like I actually have one right here under my desk. It's a Aqara button, and I use that to turn on and off my lights. I've got some hidden in different spots, and they just work really well. Let me see what you guys say. Oh, nice. Okay, good to hear. Make Smart Matter says, I have about half a dozen Ari buttons and they're very reliable. Great. That's good to know. So I've used a few of them. I've not used that many at once. I've used maybe like 2 at a time. And I'm curious, have you experienced the battery life? How well, have you had any batteries die on those, or how long you've been running them maybe? That's another good thing about the Aqara Zigbee stuff. The battery life lasts forever. But yeah, good to know that those are working well for you. Yep. Another good option about Bluetooth, about Flic buttons. Another good option here is Flic. I also use Flic buttons. So I use a bunch of them. I use them all, I guess you could say. I was actually thinking today about making a little short video about smart buttons because I use so many different ones in my house. I also use Flic. I have one in particular that I use every single day. Flic button. It works well, very well. It is Bluetooth, but it's one of the best implementations of Bluetooth I think that I've seen. And they are expensive, and they do require a hub. So, you know, there's that. But yeah, they do look great. Might be the best looking button out there. And I also really like the Flic Twist, the dial one. They're really cool. There are some limitations and the HomeKit support and stuff like that. It's not great, but well, non-existent. But I use it. A couple of those, which are really cool. Reading the comments here. Oh, wow. Rob said, still love the Wemo Stage controller. Battery lasts 6 months for you. I'm happy to hear that. I am. I think you're the first person I've heard that say battery life is decent on those, because that was my biggest issue with the Wemo Stage scene controller. I really loved it and wanted to love it. I did love it at first, but the battery life was not very good for me. So yeah, I stopped using those because I just kind of got tired of changing batteries. But yeah, I love the design of the Wemo Stage scene controller. Oh, nice. Lurk Jerk likes the Twist also. Cool. Yeah, I don't know too many people who use those, so I really like them. They're cool for a lot of things. I just put one, I just updated one that I put in my daughter's room. And so she has a bunch of lights. She has like not these, but she has the Nanoleaf shapes. She has the Nanoleaf little shoe boxes. I gave her some of those. And what else? She has a Govee, that cool like Govee lamp that like projects on the ceiling. She has that. I think there might be one other device in there. But anyways, I put the Flic Twist in there, so all she has to do is like turn the dial, and every quarter turn, it'll change the whole scene for all the lights in her room. From like, there's like a pink scene, there's one that's blue, and I just set up a Halloween one for her, so if she turns it like all the way, it'll turn everything to like a Halloween scene. So they're really cool for that. Yeah, still no word on the Flic Duo. Nothing out there yet. I'm hoping that it's coming soon. I do think it's going to be before the end of the year. I sure hope, but we'll keep an eye out on that for sure. Hue, yep, Philips Hue has a button also. So a lot of options too there. I would probably look at the battery and so like battery life, battery type, and probably the connection protocol when choosing a smart button, and determine, kind of what connection protocol you want to use. I think again, that's why I like the Aqara ones. Zigbee's nice. I had another smart button. These right here, these little things right here are great. I don't know if you can see that. Sorry, I just hit the microphone. Let me see if I can get one of these out of the thing. I don't know, have y'all seen these? I'm sure some of y'all have. This is by Third Reality. This is a weird design for sure for a button. Why is this box so hard to open? Oh, I haven't opened this one yet. They make these. This is a little smart button right here. Weird design. It comes with this little like sticker magnet that you can like mount it, I guess. But they come in all different colors. I'm gonna set this one up probably for maybe for my daughter's room, for some other things, and I just set up one for my wife so she can control some of those lights in our bedroom. But this is also Zigbee, which I like. So I was able to connect this actually directly to Homey Pro, and then kind of off to the races from there. So that's another one to check out. Okay, there we go. So an update on the battery life. For the Ari buttons, I've been using them for about 8 months, and I've changed the battery in 2 of them in that time period, but the button has been better on battery life than the temp sensor from Ari. Nice, thank you for the update there. Yeah, so there you go. And 8 months is not bad. I don't think 8 months is bad. I would like to see that improve in Thread devices. I think that's just the nature of the connection protocol. Like, Thread is supposed to be really good on battery life, but in my, just anecdotal experience, I've noticed that nothing beats Zigbee devices, and for sensors and buttons and stuff. The battery life is just insane on those things, like especially the Aqara stuff. It's one of the reasons why I continue to use so many Aqara Zigbee sensors and buttons. Literally, the battery life lasts for 2 years minimum on pretty much all of those devices, which, it's just, you can't beat that, especially when you have sensors and buttons all around the house. Yeah, you're right, Frederick. I know. I got her a button. I don't know if she's happy yet, but we got her a button. Oh yeah, John Wolf used Third Reality for my light bulbs and used it used as battery. Yeah, so Third Reality makes some good stuff for sure. Some pretty neat stuff. Raul Rewired says, did you ever have problems with the Aqara U200 keypad dying fast? I bought the best Energizer lithium batteries and it died within 2 weeks. Should I just use regular alkaline? I don't know, man. I would think, I can't remember if they recommend what they recommend specifically. I would check. If they recommend alkaline, then definitely go that route. I don't recall with that one. But I did not have that experience. I'm not using the Aqara U200 at the moment. I did use it for quite a while on one of my doors, and I didn't have to replace the batteries at all on the keypad. I probably used it for maybe 6 months, and I never had to replace the batteries, I don't think. Definitely within 2 weeks, that's not good. So I would try maybe different batteries, try something. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else has experienced that either. Yeah, Jay says, I've had my Aqara sensors for almost 3 years now, and only now getting replacement battery notifications. Yeah, same here. I've had some last well beyond 2 years. I mean, 3, maybe even more than 3-4 years, I'd say, which is insane. I don't think they're rated for that long, but I've definitely noticed it. I've had to replace the batteries on a couple of sensors that I keep outside. I've got in waterproof boxes and stuff like that. Naturally, exposed to the cold and stuff. those are going to die a little faster. Still better than most other, sensors as far as battery life, but like all the other ones, man, they last years. Yeah, Lutron is expensive. Aqara does have the dimmer. They do have a dimmer now, but yeah, nothing that looks as good as Lutron. Edgar asked, has anyone had any luck with the Switchbot doorbell through RTSP? I did, Edgar. I've connected mine to, is that device even out yet? I think it might still be on pre-order. Let's see. Or is it available now? Nope, it is available now. I stand corrected. Okay. So yeah, this is the Switchbot video doorbell. Comes with a little display there. Pretty cool concept. I'm not crazy about the design of the doorbell itself, but I've probably seen worse. Could be worse. But yeah, I got mine connected through RTSP. I'm happy to talk more offline about that if you have questions or whatever. I was thinking about making a video about that doorbell, but I'm not sure if I'm going to at this point. It's kind of fell short in some ways for me, specifically in using it with like HomeKit. It doesn't support HomeKit natively, is one thing, but even like through Home Assistant and stuff, it kind of fell short in some ways for me. But any word on the release date of the FP300? It should be very soon. That's all I can say. I don't think they've given any official announcements. When I was at IFA in September in Germany, I talked to them and I asked them specifically. She said it is coming very soon. Review units have been sent out. I don't think we have any word on the actual release date of it, but they should be coming very soon. Yeah, I think the Switchbot's video doorbell looks better than the Aqara through, though. Was shocked that I had wife approval when I bought it. Nice. Yeah. And the video display, I think, is great for a lot of people. Here we go. I might get some notifications here. Might start sounding an alarm or whatever. But this is what it looks like in hand for those interested. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not terrible. It's a little wide. Kind of similar to the Aqara doorbell. Yeah. That makes sense. That's a good comparison. Let's see. Ben says, given that Apple has renamed Apple TV Plus to Apple TV, do you think that they may release an updated physical Apple TV and rename that or make that Apple Home Hub? That's a good question. I do think we're going to get a new Apple TV sometime soon. Was hoping we would see it with today's announcements, but we didn't. I don't think they're going to call it Apple Home Hub. I think that would eliminate too much of the market because most people would probably see that and not, I just don't think that name would fit. I don't know if they would change it. I mean, the naming conventions for Apple TV Plus, the Apple TV app, all that has been confusing as hell for years, in my opinion. I think especially for your average consumer. Yeah, and they did announce that they're rebranding or renaming Apple TV Plus to just Apple TV, which potentially makes things just as confusing, maybe more confusing. I don't know. I'd be surprised to see them rename the Apple TV, but I think if they were going to name anything the Apple Home Hub, it would be like the device that, you know, that we keep hearing rumored about that'll have like a display or something. Maybe that would be called something like that, but I don't think they're going to rename the Apple TV to Home Hub. That would probably confuse a lot of people, I think. PalmaKit says, now you can see Apple TV shows in Apple TV app on the Apple TV. You're right. Not confusing at all. Adriano, what's going on? Says, I'm currently looking for an indoor camera that is compatible with HomeKit Secure Video, ideally not on the pricey side. Which one are you guys using? I say if you want affordable, I'd probably look at, once again, Aqara. Aqara makes some really good ones. They have a couple of really affordable ones. Here, let's pull them up. There's a few other ones too that I'll mention, worth checking out. Let's see, where is the cameras? So this is one of their newer ones. The G100 is great, super affordable. Let's see what that one costs right now. $34.99, even cheaper when you get it like on sale. That's a good affordable one. If you want pan and tilt, a couple options to look at here. The Camera Hub G3 is great. This one's a little bit more pricey, but this can also act as a Zigbee hub for your other Aqara devices if that's useful. The G2H Pro is good. This one right here, if you really want to stay affordable for indoors, this is probably the most affordable one. Oh, I stand corrected. Okay, well, okay, I guess because that's a pan and tilt camera, maybe that's why it's a little bit more, but still $50 versus the G100 is $35. So those are both really affordable, and they both support like local recording and HomeKit Secure Video. So I check out those. Also, I was really happy with let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I think it's this one right here. The Topo C125. This supports Apple Home. This supports HomeKit Secure Video right here, and it's just a really good, affordable camera. Let me see if we can find prices on this. Where's the buy now button? These are really affordable too. See if it shows us. It's just going to take me a TP link on there. But yeah, that's one to check out. And they also have a pan and tilt one that supports HomeKit. I think it's the I forget, but just look for HomeKit Secure Video or HomeKit support, because the Topo has a bunch of cameras that don't support HomeKit, but they have those two. This one right here, and the one that supports does pan and tilt, and both of those I've been really happy with those, especially for the price. Oh, is it? Okay. George says the C125 is end of life. Oh yeah, I didn't even notice that. You're right. Okay. So maybe you'll have a hard time finding. That's a shame, man. That was a good camera. I really like that one. I think they're still selling. That explains why I haven't been able to find it on Amazon. That makes sense. I was kind of wondering that. So unfortunately, you might have a hard time finding that one from Topo. But I do think they still sell the pan and tilt one, and I'm using one of those still in my house right now. They also support like RTSP streaming and local recording and stuff like that. So really good cameras for really good prices. All right, we got time. I'm going to do a couple more questions. Baba isn't trolling. What are your thoughts on the new Ring doorbell? I have not been paying attention to anything that Ring is doing, so I don't have thoughts on Ring. Sorry, I just don't. I'm just not a fan of Ring cameras, so not even sure what they got going on, but I'm not buying any Ring products personally. Ricardo asked, the Switchbot advertised their S20 as a Pro and CES. Is that the one on the market now, a base model, or is a Pro S20 coming down the pipes? As far as I know, I haven't heard anything about another S20 model. So again, to my knowledge, and I've worked with Switchbot quite a bit, and saw them at IFA in September. And to my knowledge, the S20 that's currently available is the only one. I have not heard of a Pro model coming, or any modified version of the S20. Frederick said, waiting to hear how your state fair experience went. It was good. It was okay. You know, it is what it is. I had fun with the wife, and my daughter had a great time. So, you know, they're happy. I'm happy. That's kind of how that goes. Good food, I guess. You know, that's always the big pro of the state fair. All right, a couple more questions here. Andrew says, I'm thinking about getting Ubiquiti UniFi cameras for security. Since they don't work with HomeKit natively, I'm wondering how well they integrate through HomeBridge or Home Assistant. They work well. I'm trying to think. I know a lot of people use them through Home Assistant. I think they work really well through Home Assistant. I've connected mine to HomeKit through Scripted, so it's a little bit different. It's very similar though in concept to HomeBridge or Home Assistant, I guess. So, and they work really well with Scripted. I'm sure there's probably some people here in the chat that have used UniFi cameras with Home Assistant. I'm not really doing that right now, again, because Scripted just works so well for me, but I don't think you'll have any issues there. I think it's pretty common. So, and yeah, the UniFi, I like the UniFi cameras a lot myself. All right, let's do one more question. Raul Rewired says, how's that Mova robot vacuum going? That's a big name here in Europe. It's on my short list for Black Friday for sure, along with Dreamy and Narwhal. Yeah, I really like it so far. I have not used it a ton, but just in my, I've only had it for a little while. But in my limited experience with it, really happy with it. I feel like one of the things I noticed, one of the small things is that it just, it seems to be really good on the hardwood floors. Like usually I can hear the robot vacuums kind of going over the floors. They sound kind of rough or whatever. For some reason I noticed this one just sounds like it's just gliding across the floor, which makes me think it's good on the floors, which I like with real hardwood floors. But yeah, I haven't used the one with the roller style mop. I've just used the one with the spinny pads. But so far, yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. And I don't know, did you guys see? I posted a short video. What was it? I don't know, maybe earlier this week, I guess, a few days ago, where I actually kind of forgot about this. But when I was at IFA on like one of the last days I was there, I saw it wasn't Mova, it was Dreamy, but I don't know if they're the same brand or a sub brand or what, but Dreamy had a whole smart home section of smart locks. They had smart lights, matter over thread lights, light strips. What else did they have? They had a mini split unit, AC unit, all kinds of smart home stuff that they're going to be bringing out sometime soon. So that's pretty exciting to see more, another brand just kind of going all in with smart home accessories. Some of their stuff look very similar to others we've seen. Cameras, they had a bunch of cameras. Their cameras look kind of like UniFi cameras. Their locks look kind of like Aqara locks. They had a retrofit lock and a deadbolt lock. But yeah, so hopefully some more, smart home products for us to test out and just more options. So that's always a good thing. Yes, thank you. Frederick says hit that like button. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. Oh, cool. Real quick, George says he's got the Mova Z60 roller mop and it's been awesome. I bet it is, man. I like the roller style mops, and my experience with the other Mova, I bet that one's awesome. It actually has some features that I haven't seen on others. So yeah, nice, good stuff. A lot of great options. A lot of great options for robot vacuums. All right, guys, that's my time today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're a channel member and I didn't get to your question today, hop over to our Discord server. We got some new channel members here today, so you can get over there, just connect your YouTube account to your Discord account, and you'll have access to our member server. You can tag me, ask me questions directly there, or post a question for the whole community. And I appreciate all you guys for hanging out today, talking smart home. Hopefully next week or the next couple weeks, sometime, we'll have some new Apple devices to discuss, maybe new HomePod, Apple TV, one of these days. We'll see. But until then, I appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Have a good week. God bless.